Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and if you saw my last vlog, which will be my first vlog of 2025, you would know I finished that one, reading The Love Letter by Lusanda Wiley, my god. And I have done quite a bit more of reading of it today, and I'm on page 470, and I am enjoying the mystery side of things. Still not like 100% like connected to the characters, but I think it means the plot is carrying me through this novel. Yeah. And we do learn about like the exact mystery. It seems like Michael, James, whatever you want to call him, and Wolves, they were more than just like lovers. It seems like they were blackmailing someone, and the packages like that Michael or James or whatever would have a Willem deliver Wolves, contain some evidence, and it seems like this continued until Michael is disappearing gag when he like cut off ties with Wolves, and he shows up later and is marrying Grace, like who was his wife for 8 years before she died, and he didn't really marry after that. And Joanna, she learns Marcus told her about this town, this property that James told Jamie, and Joanna, she goes to Ireland to investigate this town, to investigate this house, and when she's there, she's doing research into Michael O'Connor, and she cannot find him anywhere in any registries. Like he was baptized in that town. It doesn't seem like he was born in that town or the neighboring town. She goes to Dublin to see if she can learn any more information about him or the property, and she finds nothing. We do see she meets this character, this American named Kurt, who just happens to always be around, to always be showing up. Like it's like he is following her, and from the beginning, it is quite suspicious. And also, she's like, oh, she's letting her guard down again, despite the fact she's been told numerous times she shouldn't be letting her guard down around anyone really, and yet she's still doing that. I'm like, you're not a very good journalist. Like you are letting people in, you're trusting people. It just seems a bit too easy, like the trust she's putting in this strange man whom she's never met. Like she doesn't, like she's had spies following her. It just seems like she's forgetting about the fact like someone who has a lot of power wants to silence what she's doing. I don't know, it's just like she is someone in, I think in her mid-20s, like mid to late 20s, like, I don't know, it's just a bit naive to me. And we do jump around. We jump to Zoe, who is in Spain with Art, trying to just hide from the press and kind of keep a low profile for a bit. And she's doing some thinking, and it seems like, to her at least, that she's not so happy with Art as she once thought. And for some reason, it seems like she's happier with Simon, or she cares about Simon a lot. Weird. But, oh my word, where is my train of thought? But yeah, she just, I guess, starts to realize that she doesn't know anything about him, because previously, when they were together in the past, they were extremely young. Like she was 18 and he was 21. It was a teenage young adult sort of woman, and now like still they've been together for a few weeks and she doesn't know anything about him, and she sees how he treats those who are employed by his family, and she doesn't like that. And it also seems like he doesn't really take Jamie in their future seriously. Like he even goes as far as calling Jamie a mistake, which pisses her off, and he doesn't seem to care when the headmistress calls and tells her that Jamie's gone missing. Like he doesn't give a damn that his son is missing, and that he didn't want to give his son any protection whatsoever. Like, he wants to stay in Spain and hang out with his friends, and she decides she's going home and find her son. Like, to her, he is still the most important person to her. In yeah, so I am intrigued to see how that affects the relationship, because I don't think there'll be a happily ever after there. And yeah, but we just continue on with the mystery, continue on with Joanne investigating, and before eventually deciding she's had enough of this. It's just ruining her life, and that she's just had enough of the chasing breadcrumbs, essentially. And she does decide to go back to England before she decides to make a pit stop and talk to this woman that the locals have said is mad and is crazy, named Clara, who was employed in a house group and might know something, but they're also warning her to stay away from Clara. And Joanna, she gets more of the story. She learns that Clara's sister, oh God, I can never say this name correctly. Nemi? It's Niamh. Someone please leave in the comments how to pronounce it properly, just because I never know. But she was also employed in that house, and she would go to that house. It seems like she was having an affair with someone there. And Nemi, she gets pregnant and runs away from home, and like, much later, Clara finds Nemi in that house when it's been abandoned, and when Nemi's given birth to her child. And Nemi, she doesn't make it. She dies in that house. And Clara takes her son and leaves the house. And that's the end of Clara's memory before it all gets fuzzy, and she wakes up in a hospital with the doctors telling her there was no child and no one believing her story. Like, they want to lock her up in the madhouse to keep her, I guess, quiet, whoever is involved. Either the child is dead or someone took the child, but yes, still. And Clara does tell Joanna that there was also a letter which she did bring back to the house and put it under the floorboards, and it's still there to this day. And as well, she runs into Kurt Orr, Ian, who has been put on leave, and MI5 are looking to, I guess, fire him or put him in early retirement. Like, his psychological reports came back and it did not look good for him, but he still has this idea that if he gets rid of Joanna and gives them that letter, that he might put his career back on track. Like, it's a bit of a delusion. Yeah, I mean, he tries to kill Joanna. He kills Marcus, and before he's killed by Simon, and that whole scene was quite intense and quite a lot, especially with the fact it was a stormy night in this abandoned house. Like, I was stressed for everyone, and it seems like the letter just mentions who the father of Naomi's baby was, who is someone who is in a very high position in the British royal family, who they just want to silence that, like, they just want to keep that part of history hidden, a secret. Like, they don't want it out in the public. So yeah, and Joanna just seems done with this case. Like, she's mourning Marcus, who she had a fight with, and before he died, he told Joanna he loved her, and she did tell him she loved him. But I think she doesn't know that he might have hurt her, or she thinks that he didn't hear her before he died. So she's mourning him, and as well, she just wants to put this case behind her, because it's ruined her life. It's just caused her a lot of problems, and she's just done. She's exhausted from this. So yeah, I am intrigued because this novel, like with my copy, there is some extra stuff, including another bit of the author's like next work in here, but otherwise, this novel is like 570 pages, and I'm on page 470. So what the hell is happening in the next 100 pages? That's what I'm curious, because I don't think it would take 100 pages to wrap this up. But there might be a new mystery, because when Joanna was like outside running from Ian, she heard a scream in a house, a woman scream, and the only other people there were Marcus and Simon. It wasn't Clara who Ian killed before he went to that house. So yeah, it's like there might be another mystery, but also there is also like wrapping up all of the relationship aspects of this novel. Like if Zoe will get a happily ever after with Art, or she'll go and be with Simon. Like who knows? But I am very much intrigued to see how this novel ends. And yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see you. Correction? I don't know. I cannot open this book one-handed apparently. It's 590 pages, but still, like, what's happening in the next, like, 120 pages? So, it's the next day, and I have done quite a bit of reading, and I did finish The Love Letter by Lucinda Wiley. I like this. I'm gonna give it 4 stars, and yeah. We do, like, the case keeps unraveling itself. We do learn that Michael O'Connell in the picture that Joanna thought was James Harrison was really the Duke of York, who this happens to look a lot like James Harrison, and at the time in the early 20th century again. Because photography wasn't as clear as it is now, or really then. I think this takes place in 95, 96. People, royalty would use body doubles to, if they needed to be out of the picture for a bit, out of the way for a bit, due to illness or whatever, and they still needed someone to appear to the public. And our friend Michael O'Connell, James Harrison, he was used as the body double for the Duke of York, who was sick with bronchitis, and at the time, the royal family was like they were considered immortal, like nothing could get to them and whatnot. And while Michael James was, I guess, playing that role of the Duke, he and the Duchess did get close and they found love. And there was an affair there, which and letters were exchanged and whatnot. Until the Duke came back and Michael left, but the letters continued, and it wouldn't have been a big deal if, because no one thought like the Duke of York was going to be king. There was already a king on the throne, but he abdicated the throne due to him falling in love with an American woman. So there's that. So the royal family did have to get Michael off the way, and like the letter stopped, but still. So the royal family, they sent him over to Ireland because at the time this was a partition. The Irish really disliked the royal family, and they thought if the Irish people thought like a member of the royal family was staying in Ireland, they would attack him. And apparently Naomi's parents and her family, they were planning to warn him. So, yeah. But after Michael goes to being James and he marries Grace, someone shows up to discuss a letter that was sent to James that he had in his possession at the royal family. Really wanted it back. And apparently the Duchess did fall pregnant, so yeah, that's the whole thing considering. apparently through James, Zoe, and Art were cousins. I don't know. The whole thing just wasn't entirely clear to me on that front. But Grace, she did hear the conversation and she went mad. Like, she thought her husband was unfaithful, that he still had feelings, that she demanded the letter, and it was the letter she held in her possession, until she died. It was the same letter she gave Rosary. And because of that, because of other reasons, James thought that for herself, for her own sake, her own health, she should be placed in this institution in Switzerland, I think it was, and he had the people believe that she was dead. So, nothing. Great. So that's the whole thing, and Grace is the rose that Joanna met at the funeral, and there's another rose, a close friend of Grace, who tells the story to Joanna and gives her some hints on where the letter in question is hidden, and James, he apparently hidden it in a house in London, and so oh my god. Joanna tries to retrieve it during while she's there having lunch with Zoe and Art, and she has the letter in her hand with someone. Before Simon, who knows about what she's plotting, stops her, and him and his new female colleague, a agent from the CIA, trying to think on notification. They break in, and not break in, but they go to the room where they know she's in, and Simon shoots her, kills her, and they dispose of her body in this in what's supposed to look like it's a bomb that's gone off. So yeah, and because of this and because of other safety reasons, Zoe is moved into the palace, and she quickly realizes she flipping hates it. She has lost this freedom. She's not really able to go outside. She's not able to decide what she wants to wear for herself. She has to look a certain way for it to be appropriate enough for someone of the royal family to be seen with her. She has stuff weight on her, and she doesn't really love in the sense she's not really able to do what she wants the way she wants it. And she's just also lost her freedom in the sense she cannot go to the store without being accosted by the press, by the paparazzi and whatnot. And she decides that maybe she doesn't love art enough for that, and so, and to give up her freedom and as well her career. And on her way to a premiere where she and Art are supposed to be going to together, and he's like, oh, he's gonna be leaving. She hides in a cafe's bathroom and calls Simon, who comes and gets her, and yeah, it seems like Simon and Zoe are happily ever after. And we do jump about a year or so where Simon, he's in Mexico, and he meets up with Joanna, who he didn't kill. He did shoot her with empty bullets, shell bullets. And when his female colleague went down to check if she had a pulse, he killed her. And I guess because of the bomb and whatnot, the body wouldn't be you wouldn't be able to tell who it is. You would just see it's a body. So yeah. And he's only in Mexico to give Joanna her new documents, her new a birth certificate, social security, passport, stuff to help her settle down in the U.S. And it's also for him to say goodbye to her, because for her own safety, he can never see her again. And the whole thing, I think it really crashed down on her of how much her life has changed because of the story. And in a way, and she thinks she's alone. until she runs into Marcus or Casper, who did not die as well, and they get together. So it's like people get a happily ever after. And epilogues this like shit. So Joanna still decides to tell the story through. She cannot really like give the true account because of her safety and other people's safety. So she decides to wait about 20 years before publishing a fictionized version of it, which Simon told her not to do, but I guess she did it like 20 years later because she thought, oh, so much time has passed, maybe people will forget about these events, people have moved on, like, the story will stay in history. It's this, to the majority of readers, it's this, like, a fictional recount. Like, we get this scene with Zoe reading it, and she's like, this is unbelievable, this cannot be real. Like, not even Zoe, who lived through some of these events, can believe this story is real. And Simon, he does get a letter from his former boss about saying that I guess they do know about it and they think it's legit, so yeah, that's how this book ends. But like, I did enjoy the mystery, definitely. I'm giving it 4 stars. I would say there's a couple of things that's like a bit convenient, like oh my god, Joanna, she gives this locket from Meryl, who was the neighbor of Rose or Grace in the beginning. Meryl just happens to find this locket and send it to Joanna, and that's how we know about the thing with the Duchess. And Alec, he finds some information for quite vague, and it was never really gone in depth. I think about that information he found. A few conveniences. I do have to say I wasn't the biggest fan of the romances in here, just because I don't know, like, these people just met, and it seems like love at first sight sort of thing. Like, I just never got the same. We see as they do get closer and closer, but it's just like instant something that makes sense. So yeah, overall 4 stars. And the next book I do plan to start, I think I'm probably gonna start this tomorrow. I don't know if I'll read any more today. We shall see. If I do, I'll let you know tomorrow. Doesn't matter, but that would be Hello Transcriber by Hannah Morrissey. I heard about this book from a booktuber. Her name is Chapter and Converse, and this is about this police transcriber in Wisconsin who listens as a detective devotes Black Harbor is the town this takes place in, gruesome secrets. As inspiring novelist, Hazel believes that writing a book would be her only ticket out of this frozen hellscape. But her life isn't exactly brimming with inspiration, until her neighbor confesses to hiding the corpse of an overdose victim. With an insider's look at the investigation, Hazel becomes spellbound by the lead detective, Nikolai Cole, and the chilling narrative he shares with her. Through his reporting, she learns that the suspicious death is linked to Candyman, a drug dealer notorious for selling illegal substances to children. And when Cole invites her on a covert operation to help take down the dealer down, the promise of his story calls to her. As the investigation unfolds, Hazel will discover just how far she will go for her story, even if it means destroying her marriage, her career, and any chance she has of getting out of Black Harbor alive. Because if she's learned one relentless truth about this place, it's the fact that everybody lies. And yeah, that sounds intriguing to me, and I'm excited to get into that. So yeah, and yeah, I think that's all for now. And so yeah, I'll see you when I see you. So it's the next day. My God, I don't know why I couldn't speak this now. And I've just done some computer work and whatnot, and I've also done a bit of cleaning. And I'm also now down because my stomach's bothering me for some reason. No. That's something that happens once in a while, not related to my time of the month or anything. Sorry, I'm trying to open my notes. Because as well, I have done some reading. I did mention yesterday, and I believe I also gave a synopsis yesterday of the book I'm about to read, and I today started Hello Transcriber by Hannah Morrissey. And I'm on page 90, and I have to say, I'm loving this atmosphere. I say, if you want a mystery thriller to read during the winter time, I would say I recommend this to you. There's a lot of descriptions of very snowy, very icy scenes, very like kind of creepy in a sense the way it's described, and it's quite, I guess, bleak and the writing not is extremely slow, so be aware of that if that's not your jam. But I am very much enjoying this atmosphere, and I do like the talk in this book. And like once you're in Black Harbor, which is the name of the town, you're stuck there. Like there's no getting out of Black Harbor, no leaving or anything. It's like once you're there, you're stuck there. And we do get a couple scenes at the beginning of the novel of our main character, Hazel, when she's running on this bridge that's been known for people to jump off of. It was a bridge that was part of this coal mining, I believe, operation, and when that closed, people lost their jobs, and it's been abandoned, and now people just go there if they want to kill themselves. And Hazel, a couple of times, she throws things into the water. She throws like this water, I believe it is, her mom gave her, and teddy bear, and she's hoping that they will, float out of town or whatever. And she knows that they're just gonna get stuck on a rock and they're stuck in Black Harbor. And yeah, that's kind of the general vibe, I guess, you get from this novel, like that this feeling of stuck, of being stuck, which in more ways than one. And for Hazel as well, it's not just physically she's stuck, mentally she's stuck in a sense. She is an inspiring novelist. And because of some dodgy editor who she did accept that an offer from him, but she knows now that he isn't gonna help her in her career or anything. Like she's stuck in the fact she wants to be an inspiring writer, and for so long she was stuck like in between jobs because she and her husband, they had recently moved to Black Harbor because of his job, and sometime before that she had to quit this job at a bookstore, and we see the period when she's now, I guess, unstuck from that in between of being the housekeeper and is working as as this transcriber at a police station. So and seeing how she's also stuck in her own work because she's dealing with this writing block and she cannot bring herself to write. And there's that, and as well the fact like she's from this place, and I like how she keeps mentioning like where she, when people ask like, oh, where she's from, she's like, oh, up north, like in a small town, like no one's heard of. Like I think there's many towns, like most small towns in the U.S. you will never hear of unless you lived in town next to it, or near, like I don't know the majority of towns in my state. So I do know a lot of them, but yeah, so I do like that. And I would say I also love Hazel with my next one. I like this tick she has. It's like when she has this habit of like tapping her fingers on her lap, almost like she's tapping on a keyboard, and I guess that would kind of make sense considering she's known around the police station as being someone who can type extremely fast at apparently 111 words per minute, which I don't know, this is an interesting thing she has as someone who is a writer. And another thing is that Mohammed is gonna change. She's in this relationship with her husband because it seems like it's why she's not happy with him. Like, he is someone who's obsessed with hunting and camping. Like, he has everything he shot and killed. Oh my god, what is the term I'm looking for? It's like when you immortalize an animal head or something. But they have animal heads over their house. And it seems like she doesn't see him that often. Like, it's either he's always camping, he's always hunting, he's always out with his friends, he's at work. Like, the only time she sees him is when he comes home, has sex with her, sleeps, and then leaves, and then comes back a few days later. Like, it seems like a very unhappy relationship and unhealthy in a sense. She doesn't enjoy having sex with him at all. Like, she has said, and has gone into somewhat detail, like, it is painful for her, and she doesn't enjoy it, and she has tried remedies in the past to try and, I guess, heal herself from it, but nothing works. And the way she describes him, he's and manipulative. It seems like he's also emotionally abusive, and she literally said that she would prefer it if he was physically abusive. Like, she would prefer it if he rather slapped her, because then it would allow them to have an argument that it seems like they really need to have. So yeah, it seems like they might have been happy once, but that honeymoon phase is long gone. So there's that. And so I do like the atmosphere and some of the struggles Hazel has in her life. And we first meet her when she's been interviewed for the job, and she gets in on it. And before I go on, I'm sorry if this is all over the place. I do like it. Like, in a way, this job's isolating her from her friends and family because of the fact she's signed a confidentiality agreement. She's not able to talk about the cases she's working on, or cases that might be bothering her, cases that might be on her mind. Or she's not allowed to talk about specific aspects of her job, even if people know about it, in a way that is isolating to the outsiders. Speaking of being isolated from the outside, the windows at the police station that she's working at, they're the sort of windows where it's like it allows those working in a police station to look outside, but prevents those from outside from looking inside the police station. And one day, her neighbors, he comes up to the window she and her coworker are working, the window for the office they're working in, actually. And he writes that he hid a body. And the police go in to investigate this and whatnot, and they find this body in the dumpster at the apartment complex across the street of a 9-year-old boy. And they question the neighbor Sam and whatnot, and he meets suicide with a guy named Candyman, or I think it's like Timothy something with a T. I could be wrong. Tommy. Wouldn't say no, that's something like Candyman, who is this local drug dealer, and the reason he has his nickname is because he sells drugs to young kids. And with the younger boy, Jordan, his mother was apparently never around. He hung out with Candyman all the time. And then he has a lot of prescriptions because of many medical conditions. And that's why he does give drugs and whatnot. So there's that. And we follow the detective in charge, this guy who has been suspended, and as well, like, his methods are a bit questionable, named Nikolai, as he tries to figure out where the drugs are and the methods he's going about to finding these drugs. And I would have to say I love the chemistry between Nikolai and Hazel, like the banter, and Hazel's drawn to Nikolai. Like, she's intrigued, and she does. It's almost like she forgets that she's married when she's with him. Like, oh no, I would prefer to see more of Nikolai before deciding if I prefer him over the husband, because the husband, from what we get from Hazel's POV, not the best guy for her. I'm not saying like I'm hoping for an affair or anything, but it seems like if that's what happens, I'm hoping that Hazel gets, gets to be happy. But she decides to help Nikolai as he has to go back into that room to investigate, and that's a problem for him as the neighbors and people in that apartment, they know him, they saw him around. And he and the other detectives were investigating that apartment initially. And Hazel decides to go in as they don't know her, and the apartment she is with her husband, Sam, who's been released because he didn't commit any murder, but he was helpful by giving the information he gave, and Sam's father, Tommy. And they're talking, and it seems like Sam didn't know it was that Sam didn't see Hazel, and so there's that. And yeah, the cinema is Nikolai and Hazel at the apartment, and is going to take another look at the dumpster now. So I do say I'm very much intrigued to see where this novel goes as well. I am wondering. So, in order to get over her writing block, Hazel is writing up the case from the details she knows already on her laptop, like her personal work computer at home. I kind of started getting inspiration from another novel and whatnot, and the line at the end of chapter 8 is like, write what you know. Here is my chance to know it. But they don't know me, I offer. Boom. And that's like her offering to help Nikolai figure out where the drugs are exactly in that apartment. But also using like this opportunity to be more familiar with this case and whatnot. So I'm intrigued to see like if she is caught writing up this case, like the consequences she faces if she is caught. And I guess for her it's also like by helping Nikolai it would allow her to write what she knows, like this practice. But I'm also wondering if because she is a writer and I don't know exactly what novels she's written in the past, or if she's also gonna use like the cases that she's transcribed like previously at this police station to help the case. That makes sense. I'm just intrigued to see if there will be consequences to the fact that Hazel is writing up this case on her personal computer originally. Just because someone can take that, and that's a high breach of confidentiality. I cannot say that word correctly. I don't know. I'm just intrigued. So yeah, I'm just definitely like in the atmosphere, and yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I just got back from running some errands and whatnot. I'm pretty tired to do this. I don't know why. And I've done quite a bit of reading of Hello Transcriber, and I'm on page 194. And I do have to say another thing I'm really liking is the way Hazel takes note on the way someone pronounces words, like where they put an emphasis on a certain letter and how their, I guess, mouth moves, like when they're speaking, and I don't know, the way someone talks, the way they pronounce words, like it's something she takes note of. So yeah. And what I read is when Hazel goes into Candyman or Timothy's apartment, she freaks out. Like I guess because it's dark and she's alone. Like she has this thing where she's afraid of the dark. Like when she's at a police station, she has to watch by a certain section because of the fact it's so dark. She in the apartment hears voices of Candyman's victims, and she knows it's her imagination playing up because she's afraid. And Nikolai, he goes in, because they're on FaceTime with one another, so he can see what she sees and whatnot. And he stays with her and helps her out, and I guess gives her company as they navigate the apartment, trying to find like where the drugs could be hidden and all. And you feel the silence. The two of them play this game of two truths, one lie. It's quite funny, and one thing leads to another, and they're kissing in the bathroom. yeah, that starts a somewhat affair between the two. And I do like the chemistry, like she's very much drawn to him. But anyway, we'll get there in a minute. But she hits her head, and they find her drugs in the wall, and that's when he gets a call saying there's been another overdose. This time of I think it's like a 14-year-old girl. Yeah. And I would have to say it seems like Hazel, like I don't know, she knows what she's doing is wrong, I think, but I'm really thinking that she's being unfaithful, like, I guess because she's so unhappy in her marriage, that's like, that she wants to be happy, and it seems like she enjoys being with Nikolai physically, like, she wants to touch him and set him out, like, when she's with her husband, she almost recoils from his touch, I think, and with him, she's open with it. And however, we don't see anything from the guy's perspective. So to me, it seems like he's okay with being with Hazel. Like he knows she's married, and he has no qualms about the fact he's getting with a married woman. So yeah, there's that, and it seems like others at the police station, for some reason, they just don't like him. Like Hazel's co-worker in the transcriber department, hey Mona, and another female detective, they gossip about Nikolai when behind his back they said, oh, he's sleeping with his CI or confidential informant, and this is coming to play in the sense his confidential informant later on is murdered, her apartment's destroyed, she's cut open, like frayed open, and it seems like someone is looking for drugs, and Nikolai he blames himself for it because he was supposed to protect her, keep her safe, and he thinks he failed to do so. So there is that, and we get a whole thing with like Hazel thinking that Pearl, Nikolai's CI, is actually his wife because whenever she calls or texts him, she always sees Pearl. She just assumes that's his wife. Like, yeah, you're married. Like when we see, I guess, Hazel accept, I guess, or this change in her relationship status or something, I don't know. Because Nikolai and Hazel, they went out to have a drink together, and it's like at a bar that has like this old stone like arcade machine. They are playing a game, and Nikolai has to leave, and he gives Hazel the last coin for the machine and tells her to keep it. And she's on that bridge and tries to throw it away, but she can't bring herself to. But instead, she throws away her wedding ring. So I think that's a mistake. I don't know if it's supposed to symbolize the fact that she's gonna try and end things with her husband, or if she's just gonna move on with Nikolai. I don't know. Just because we see Hazel with her husband later on, and it seems like there's still an air of the fact that they're still married. Like, not happily so, but there's no talk of divorce or anything. Like, I don't know if I'm about to get to that part, but still. And we also do see how this job does impact her personal relationships, because she's at her sister's engagement party when she's called back to the station because it's urgent. And this is when the media got word that Nikolai's informant was killed. I'm not entirely sure why she was called back to the station. Just because she's still continuing to do her job, but I don't know, but she has to leave early, and she doesn't exactly tell her sister who they could, but she also seemed like her sister would be understanding in the sense like Hazel just needs this job. And her sister's not understanding, like she's like blasts Hazel on the radio station radio show she hosts, and it's giving her the silent treatment. Like it's a bit immature, but still get from what we understand, Hazel doesn't have the best relationship with her mother, and it seems like her sister's a lot like her mother, so there is that. And she also sees the reason like why Nikolai might have been suspended, or she might have seen more of his true colors of how he is when he's on job. he after they call him back in to interview him about after the whole thing with Pearl, and Nikolai escorts them out. Nikolai gets quite rough with someone, and he just like tosses him out onto the sidewalk and he's quite rough, and she sees that he, I don't know, someone gets quite rough. And okay, I know this is so over the place from this video, my thoughts, so sorry. But I don't 100% understand why Hazel Hazel living next door to them might be make her like a conflict of interest. Like, yes, she lives next door and she might have heard something or some might have told her something, but I'm guessing this is this kind of small town where everyone knows everything and people know each other's business, like our neighbors, like, because I don't know my next door neighbor and I've lived next to him for most of my life. Like, I don't know, like, they might live in a duplex, but still, like, it could be a thing where it's like they see each other and it's their face, give each other a nod and go their own ways. Like, I don't really understand why she's so worried, but she does, and because she doesn't really like hang out with Sam or his father, and if she does, it's only because Tommy's around, and it doesn't really seem like she likes that or she does that frequently. So. But yeah, and we do learn the reason why Nikolai was suspended. Pearl was the daughter of a close friend of Nikolai's, the person who was essentially his teacher, the one who taught him how to be a cop, basically. And Pearl, she was a good girl, like a good athlete, a kind of stereotype, and she got caught up in a long crowd, and she was with this other drug dealer, like working with him or dating him or whatever. And during a bust in the guy's apartment, Nikolai found drugs in a music box that belonged to her, and he moved it into the guy's drawer. And she was like, yeah, those are my drugs, and Nikolai was only suspended while her father, who was also on the bust, got fired and a whole bunch of other things. So, for some reason, he faced more consequences than Nikolai, even if it was Nikolai's actions. Like, and the fact, like, they both fessed up to committing the crime, to moving the drugs, really. But their superintendent or their boss just had a vendetta against the other guy, so. And yes, so far I'm very much intrigued. And there's a point where Timothy or Candyman, he's dead, and Hazel for some reason is kind of because of events leading up to his death, and the last time she saw him, she thinks that Nikolai had something to do with it, so that's intriguing to see if he actually went that far, because we know he can be violent, so yeah, who knows. But yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I've just done some cleaning and whatnot, and I did finish Hello Transcriber, and I like this. I did give it 4 stars. I don't know. I do have some grievances with this one. We do see how Hazel, she goes further with her affair with Nikolai, going as far as renting the hotel room, like using cash, so that her husband doesn't know, so that the two of them can have proper sex. Because the two have just like been kissing a lot and whatnot. And when she's with Nikolai, she doesn't feel any pain when she's having sex, and further down the line, when her husband finds out she doesn't enjoy having sex with him, apparently once tried to go to this like marriage counselor and not offered 3 sessions for free before you had to pay, and they said that the pain during the sex thing is like it's something like her mind made up, so she doesn't seem to be with him. There was a proper term in here, and I'm like, And her husband like remembered on the subway and then ignored everything else like that the therapist said after that. And something I forgot to mention yesterday is Hazel has this theory that maybe it's Nikolai who is the murderer because he did go to Pearl's apartment to comfort her when she was freaking out, took out her trash and that, and he is the last one that Hazel saw with Timothy before Timothy's body was discovered. So, but still, even though she thinks he might be a murderer, like she's not afraid of him or anything. Like it doesn't seem like she cares about the fact he might be a murderer. And we do finally get that scene where Tommy finds out about the affair as he knows the passcode to Hazel's phone. Like Hazel didn't think like about changing it because it would make Tommy suspicious. He always knew her passcode, so and he opens it he opens her phone while she's in the shower and he sees the text. And he finally gets physical with her, but he doesn't slap or anything, but he grabs her wrist pretty hardly when she tries to leave. And she does fall down the stairs when he lets go, and she does leave. And she goes to Nikolai's house where she sees him with a woman, and it's not like anything intimate, but there is a level of intimacy as it's pretty clear that the two are quite familiar with one another, and it seems like, he tells Hazel that this woman was his sister-in-law. His brother, the previous year, had killed himself, and the police were having some memorial thing for like fallen cops or cops who died, and she invited Nikolai to go with her as he did as her. But still, like I don't know why Hazel thought he was married. Just because she has it in her head that he's married, and I don't get it why she thinks that if she's putting herself on him, like maybe hoping that he's in this similar situation where he's in an unhappy marriage, so she doesn't feel so guilty about about having the affair. Just because it's never mentioned that he has a ring, but he does have a necklace on that he wears all the time. It's still like, maybe that's something. Not entirely sure still. But yeah, and we do see how she goes to her sister's house and the two make up, and her sister admits that she did things out of proportion. She took two things too far by airing her grievances over there, and we only learn now that Hazel's sister is a trans woman, and that's what caused the end of her first engagement. The fact she didn't tell her fiance that. It wasn't that what Hazel had told us earlier about the reason that her sister publicly said. That was not proper. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Her sister said that the reason she ended her first engagement, was because the wedding was just too perfect. The planning was too perfect. Like she wanted to have another go at wedding something because she had fun. Like that was the reason and her sister gave to the public. And I don't know. I feel like that should have also been said earlier with Hazel saying like things about her sister. But I'm guessing earlier she was trying to villainize her sister to us, the reader. I don't know. I just don't really know why now the fact always trans is brought up, but I'm guessing it's to show the shift in the relationship, or I don't know, like the fact the relationship's no longer like it's villainized, or I don't understand really, but yeah. But Hazel decides to leave Black Harbor. She throws away the manuscript to symbolize like that she's done with this town and done with this mystery, and she also breaks up with Nikolai. And like she goes back to the duplex to collect her stuff and finds Sam in her part of the duplex, and he's paranoid. He saw her with Nikolai, and he thinks that she's Nikolai's new informant, and he tries to search her for wires, like cuts her leg so he can look for the wires inside her, which probably explains what he did to Pearl. And we learn that Sam was the one taking the drugs from his father, giving them to the real Candyman who was in the movie, but someone else, and yeah, that case is closed, so yeah. And then Hazel quits her job, and as they try to describe her, she does get another job. Her sister is able to help her, where it's more of a copywriting job, from what I understand, for like radio and news and whatnot. So, yeah, and it seems like the relationship she had with Nikolai is also over permanently, or at least for now. And I don't know. I know the series doesn't follow Hazel, but I would like to see more. I do get like we only see a portion of her story. Like her story is not over yet, but still, I don't know, I'm intrigued. So yeah, overall I liked it and I gave it 4 stars, and yeah. And I think my next read will be Hacks by Jenny Fagan. And this is about this convicted witch named Gillis Duncan, who is imprisoned in a prison cell several floors below in Edinburgh's High Street, and she receives a mysterious visitor, Iris, who says she comes from the future where women are still persecuted for who they are and what they believe. As the hours pass and dawn approaches, Gillis recounts the circumstances of her arrest, brutal torture, confession, and trial, while Iris offers support, solace, and a tantalizing prospect of escape. So, yeah, I don't know, I'm very much intrigued about this one, and I don't think I'll do any more reading tonight, but if I do, I'll just let you know tomorrow. So, yeah. I think that's all for now, so I'll see you when I see you. So, it's the next day, and I just got back from running some errands and whatnot. I just did my grocery shopping and did the whole thing, and it's quite cold outside, so yeah. And I know it's gonna be worse next week, but still. But yeah, but anyway, I have done some reading, and I'm on page, I think 70, let me double check. Yeah, 76 of Hacks, and I'm very much enjoying this a lot. I think my favorite thing about this is like, even through the way women behave has changed, more things are accepted. Like Iris just pointed out, like women can hold hands, make art, do a bunch of other things that were, I guess, less accepted in Gillis's time. Women aren't really treated with the most respect at times. I think women are also still expected to be silent, to be invisible, and as for the way they might behave is still judged. Like, an example Iris mentions to Gillis is, if a woman is raped or murdered, people will start questioning, or not questioning, but they'll be saying stuff like, oh, she shouldn't have worn that, she shouldn't have worn those heels, or what's she doing going out at night. Like, it's placing the blame on the women. And you also see like how it's almost like entertainment, or people not taking women seriously when they're murdered. How they're not respected when something happens to them. Like Iris tells Gillis this story of like how a bunch of policemen who are supposed to be protecting people, protecting women, they took a selfie next to a dead woman after she was murdered, and how in Iris' time people they find excuses for like why women deserve to be murdered. If let's say she lived in a bad area, let's say, then she was a prostitute. Like they place blame on the victim, and instead of the person who committed the crime. And we see how there's that. And also there is something that that Gillis said that I really like, that I also think is still quite relevant in today's time. And so Gillis is talking about like the names she condemned when she was tortured. And Gillis, she was tortured quite severely, like quite gruesomely. The details, oh my word, I'm not gonna even say like describe it, because but it was like 10 men in the room when she was tortured, and it's because her former employer wanted her to give up someone named Ufam. I cannot pronounce the name, I'm so sorry, but it's Euphame. And his wife's brother was married to her, and he wanted to inherit her money and whatnot. So it was that is forcing Gillis to give up that name, and Gillis also gave up several other names and condemned them. And on page 47, she says, "They are the ones I told on first, then they told on others, and now we are hundreds, and then we will be thousands, and one day millions. It is a plague, a thought plague. How many people in this world will be killed by thought plagues? Those infections spread, they create nothing but fear and death. They take ordinary people to an early grave, or they scare them as they try to live out their lives." And I feel like that is quite relevant in today's time, because if art will be installed on us about a certain person, and then we spread that thought and so on and so forth until it condemns them of something they probably didn't do, and then we will do the same thing to other people, or they will do the same thing to other people, and it's like an endless cycle of condemning people for stuff and really like almost ending their lives. And with Gillis and others, it's quite a severe sentence. But no, and I'm saying that because Gillis, she tried to make herself as small and as invisible as possible, so she wouldn't get in trouble. And yet people gossiped about her on the streets. People gossiped about her before and after she was condemned. Like everything she did, even not going to see her grandmother who asked for her when she was on her deathbed, it was all for nothing. Like all of these rumors and everything, it condemned her, and in the public's eye she's a witch. So there's that. And really the whole thing is, these people have in their minds they're doing what they're doing. The men are thinking they're doing God's work by killing the devil's like chess piece, I guess. Like whatever. And the women, they're just there for entertainment. I think everyone there is for entertainment, and I mean it's just a whole big show. And with some of the images we've seen of like public hangings in this time period and earlier, it was almost like a show. Like people would bring their young kids and have a picnic. People would sell stuff. Like it was like public entertainment, and that's just a sad bit. And we also see, like, with speaking of religious talk, there was another quote I did like. I found it. The quote is on page 33, and it's, "How can women be truth tellers when we brought down the Garden of Eden on our week for such deceit and evil?" Like men, they see themselves as being blessed by God, as being a perfect, good soldiers of God. While women, because of what Eve did, are these deceitful, sinful people who should be locked up, who shouldn't have any freedom, who should be condemned no matter what, and so forth. And it's just so heartbreaking seeing how, even if it's not so, like, it's not serious, but so, like, there's like, I'm blanking out, oh my god, on what I want to see, but it's not so, like, things are not so, like, high stakes. No, that's also one, but yeah, women are still told to be quiet, not to say anything, to be meek, and not give their opinions, and how once they are condemned, whether that's in the eyes of the public or eyes of the church or whatever, they are no longer believed. Like, we see how Gillis, she tries to tell the priest who's there to collect her final confession the truth, and he doesn't believe her. Because to him, these men tortured her. They're good, godlish men, and they are good men of society, while she is a witch, and that's all she is to him and to everyone else. A witch. Someone who should not believe no matter what. So there's that, and it's like the whole thing that breaks my heart. So yeah, yeah. Plot-wise, like, I do like how Iris gets there. Like, she's there for this thing called the Ether, which, from what I understand, is like she's not physically there, but like her spirit is there. Her body is still in present day, and from what I understand, it's like in a coma or she's dead or something, and she also went through something horrible at the hands of men. Like, nothing, well, no, I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, she was cast there for some reason, and Gillis thinks she's there because she is Gillis is familiar, and at one point, I guess, like, Iris believes that or something. I don't know. She turns into a quo at one point. So. And the thing is with a witch's familiar is, I think the familiar also dies when a witch dies. So yeah, but yeah, I have like less than 30 pages. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this tonight, but if I do, or if I finish it tomorrow morning, I'll let you know. I'm just quite tired, so yeah. But yeah, I think that's all for now, so I'll see you when I see. So it is actually the same day, much later, about 9 o'clock, and but a couple hours ago I did finish Hacks, and I decided to update now just so I could put this back and on my shelves and like organize. I don't know, I have this thing like where some things out of place, it's just gonna nag at me until it's like back in its place. I don't know, but yeah. But we do get the rest of that scene with Gillis doing her confession, and one of the priests, like, whenever she is trying to say the truth, or whenever she isn't getting the truth, he's calling her a liar, he's calling her a witch, a lying witch. Wanda, like, he's not believing her, obviously. And he's not gonna believe her until she admits what the truth he wants, which is that she is a witch. And we see, like, really how, or we're really told that women who men or other women in society believe have too much power or knowledge, how those who have more power than them, let's say the king, share stories, false stories, and then the guards and the women in society will spread them, and it's a whole thing. And really, these stories are like spread is to, like, for the sole purpose of taking down these women from their power by having those who have more power and talent spread these stories. So yeah, and it apparently it's clear that everybody who, like the jury, the judge, the king, even, like, everyone knows why Gillis' former employer did what he did, like his true motives. It's not that he wanted to salvage or help the king with his witch hunt. He used that as an opportunity to take down his sister-in-law, I think it is, or and so there's that, and like she does tell the truth once again when she's on the stool right before she's hung, and it seems like no one's like listening to her, and she for the majority of this was alone. Like she went through this horrific torture on her own. She was in this jail cell for so long on her own, and no one was around. And it's only when she's about to be hung, like she didn't want her family to be there. She was hoping they didn't show up, but they did. They hid themselves, and they were there. In Iris, still in her quo form, is there, as well as other quos who I'm presuming are women who have had injustices, have been tortured or killed by men, like whether it's like women who men have called witches or whatnot. Anyway, so yeah, and you get that scene when Gillis is hung, and Iris, because she feels this kinship to Gillis, maybe she thinks that maybe she actually is Gillis' familiar, decides to stay in Gillis' time and not go back to her time, and she does something which it's not exactly clarified what she does, that this wouldn't allow her to go back to her time. She puts a hex on everyone who witnesses Gillis' death and their descendants, and I'm not sure exactly what it means when you hex someone. Like, what does that just mean? They get bad luck, or what? Yeah, but Iris is, I guess, stuck in that time. Like she dies in her time. Like her body is found decomposing in her apartment sometime later, and so when Gillis dies, she flies away with Iris. So it's the end of that novella, and I definitely enjoyed the commentary about I guess men not really liking the idea of women having power, on women having to appear meek and whatnot in order to have not to be villainized, I guess, by society. And overall, my heart broke for Gillis, who, when I learned how old she was, I'm like, oh my word, because she was extremely young when she went through what she went through, and no one deserves to go what she went through, and it just breaks my heart hearing her story. Even I'm not sure if this is based off true events. I think it was, but could be wrong. But still, it breaks my heart. So yeah, I enjoyed this, and I gave it a 5-star. And I will discuss the next book I will be reading tomorrow, because I'm a grandma and I'm tired. So yeah, I'll see you when I see you. So it's the next day, and I've just done some cleaning and whatnot, and I'm not feeling particularly well. I'm not sure if I just ate something or what, but my stomach's just being a bit annoying. So there's that. But I did start a new book. I started The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. And this is about this house in this town. Like, everyone knows about it. And they whispered that its old owner went mad and restless ghosts still walk the halls. But when Adrian, who's desperate and in need of a place to stay, inherits the crumbling old mansion, she only sees it as a lifeline until darkness falls. Strange messages are etched into the walls, furniture moves when she leaves the room, and a grave is hidden in the depth of the forest hints at a terrible, unforgivable secret. Something twisted lives in her house. Its hungry eyes ever watchful. Chasing the threads of a decades-old mystery, it isn't long before she realizes she becomes prey to something deeply unnatural and intensely resentful. She has no idea how to escape. She has no idea how to survive. Only one thing is certain, that Ashburn is dead or not at West. And we start this novel with this like flashback when, or a flashback but when Adrian is like 6 years old. Her mother is carrying her out of this house, and her mother is like running away from it and is in fear. Like Adrian, who's a young kid, notes that her mother didn't even buckle her seatbelt when she put Adrian in the car, which is something she never does. And then when they drive away, there's this figure in a window, and it's like a black figure. And we now see Adrian, who's about 22 years old, and she is going to that house. She and her mother, like, they didn't have, like, I guess the best lives. Like, her mother worked 2 jobs to support her, and then she had to stop working altogether when she got sick. And then Adrian, she was also working but quit her job and became a freelance writer who to take care of her mother. And we see like with medical debts as well, like other debt, that latest one in debt. Like Adrian is in the best financial state after her mother dies, and like, everything, like their house was mortgaged, the bank took their car and everything. And Adrian, when she learns about this inheritance, is crashing on her friend's couch. And all of Adrian's life, like her mother told her that they didn't have any other relatives until Adrian gets the letter. And apparently, Ethel, who is the previous owner of Ashburn House, she was like some distant relative. Apparently, it's something like she was her mom's grandmother's sister's daughter. Like it's like a whole thing. But anyway, Hazel dies and leaves Adrian the house, and Adrian is desperate. Like she's not in a good financial age. Like she is still doing freelance work, but a couple of her clients, they're taking their sweet time and sending in their payments. So, and it's like it's a good house. Like it's still something. And she's in a taxi on the way there, and she notes like it's quite far from the center of this small town, and then it's the kind of small town where everybody knows everybody, and it's like the talk of the town when someone new moves into the town. Like the fact Adrian's who driving through downtown in the yellow taxis, like people talk. And she notes that the house is quite isolated. Like there's a lot of like Azar did not want anyone up in that house. There's a lot of warning signs telling people to stay away, no trespassing going on. And she doesn't know if her cat is being funny, like not behaving like normally. He is normally good in his carrier, but he's acting up. He's hissing and whatnot. And when she gets to the house, like it causes her cat to have a negative reaction to. It could be because he is in this unfamiliar environment. Like it's like cats are like that. I guess I don't know. I've never had one until he like hisses and has a full-on reaction to something when they're in the living room, and there's like it's only the two of them. Like there's nothing else there, but it's like he sees something or senses something, and it's like causes him to react negatively and whatnot. And the house is run down completely exteriorly, and in interior wise, it's quite old-fashioned. Like the decorations, the stuff is their own. Like it's like from the Victorian period. And as Adrian is going through the house, she notices that there's like scratches on the wall, like where a mirror would be, and it's like no mirror on the table in the kitchen. It says, "Is it Friday?" Light a candle, like that kind of stuff. Like quite eerie, especially like the downstairs seems to have a complete different vibe to the upstairs where it's a bit creepy with the portraits. And no, I would say the more accurate, like not representation but description I can say is it's definitely more eerie, and I think it's like it's like something's coming alive in that house. Like it's this complete different vibe when it's nighttime because it's like things are more scarier and like like the downstairs area has a light switch, has lights, but the upstairs area doesn't have anything like that. And in order to navigate upstairs, she has to carry a lamp upstairs. Yeah, and it is quite isolated due to like it being quite far from the town. Like it probably took it would take a person maybe an hour to walk from the house to the town, but Isra had like a shortcut where it was like 15 minutes. And as well, the house also looms over the town because of its height. Like it's quite a tall house, and I do like that description. And Adrian, she learns more about the history of Isra and her family when some girls her age they come to like in the name of greeting the new person in town, but really they're there to gawk and see that house really because Isra, she lived isolated. Like she didn't have a husband or any significant other. She didn't invite people over, and she would go down into the town like this to grab her groceries and whatnot. But if someone was like, "Oh, hey, so you want to come to dinner at my house?" or try to be kind to her, she would just be a bit rude to them. So yeah, like she lived so isolated that like people didn't even know she died until like they noticed like that on a Friday there was no candle lit up in her window, and that's when they noticed like, her very decomposed body and her oozing black stuff. Like that description. I'm surprised. I'm surprised Adrian didn't try to wash the whole house top to bottom after that. Because yeah, but yeah, Adrian, like she does learn more from these girls when she's giving them a tour of their house, and they see like the portraits of Caesar's family, of the lore behind the family, and the fact that she had a famous uncle, like a famous artist uncle who apparently went mad, and how apparently the entire family was murdered, and except Caesar, no one knows who did it or anything. So yeah, so far it's quite haunting, and I like seeing the I guess vibe of the fact like Adrian is this like new thing in town. Like she's the new person in this extremely small town, but also she's the inheritor of that house, like that one house everyone talks about, everyone gossips about, and it's quite interesting seeing that. But yeah, and plot wise, she is still exploring the house, finding more about the nooks and crannies and the fact like Easter, like she knew she was gonna leave the house to Adrian. Like she made up a room for Adrian, like that looked more modern compared to the rest of the house. And as well, Adrian finding her stash of candles in the attic, like there's like it's a candle holder, the matchstick, and like so many crates of candles. Like it's enough to for generations to have candles. Like it's this. But I am definitely intrigued to see like why it's a Friday she has to light the candle. Like what happens if she doesn't light a candle? Like we see like another message that's scratched into I think it was a wall that's like light a candle, your family is dead or something like that. So, or if she doesn't, if she doesn't. But yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned it. I'm on page 108. And so far what happened is one of the girls visited Adrian earlier. Adrian mentioned she didn't have a lot of food, or she was running low on food. And the girl was just being nice and was gonna give her like some food after work. And when she went up to the house, she went missing, and the next day another one of the girls goes up to the house as well and tries to find her. Adrian and the girl, they find the other girl's car and had crashed into a ditch, or had gone off the path and hit a tree. And the girl's not in the car, and the two split up. Adrian goes deeper into the woods and finds the graveyard, which is quite creepy. Like, why the hell would you have a graveyard on your own? I mean, I think in some properties or older properties, it would be like a family thing. And finds the girl, and that's where I got up to. But the interesting thing for me is that Adrian thinks she might have heard the crash, but it's not true. The detail I'm liking is both nights Adrian is there, and when it's about to get dark, like everything goes quiet. Like all of the animals are quiet and everything until suddenly, like it's like life almost comes back suddenly, and the birds take fright and all that. And that's happened 2 times, and that's, I mean, it's sometimes a charm, or certain, but it's a bit too much of a coincidence. So yeah, I'm very much enjoying the atmosphere, and I'm intrigued to see just more of the creepy stuff about this house. So yeah, I think that's all for now, and that's also the end of this video. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below telling me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to this channel, and if you want to follow me on any social media, then all those links are in the down bar below. I'll see you guys next time I post it.